Now, from there, you wound up returning back to Saw. You had been here actually when Saw first opened up. You came back here with Andy Douglas as your tag team partner, and that was pretty much a one night only happening at this point. What went on with that?
Well, we was here whenever Saw first started, whenever Southern All Star Wrestling. Uh, it was just an old beat up building. Used to be a bakery, and then we come in and we heard there had been shows ran in this building a couple times before we got here, and we come in expecting to see shithole, as you might want to call it, and it was just that. We come into a broken, beat up building with a ring in the middle of it, but there's a fan base here, and it was drawing week in and week out, and it was a good crowd. It was a good locker room. I was very pleased with it, but we ended up leaving Saw at that point in time only because of some things that we had going on in Puerto Rico. We was carrying the IWA tag team titles of Puerto Rico, and we had an obligation to defend those in Puerto Rico at the time. And actually, we had the Saw titles at the time. We had the Southern All-Star wrestling titles at the time, and we ended up dropping them and going to Puerto Rico and finishing out our course there. And then at that point in time, it opened back up for us to come back to Saw, and then the name had changed at that point in time. It was still Saw, but it was called Showtime All Star Wrestling, and come back to a bigger and better place. Had a stage. It was the locker room had changed a little bit. They had kept the top talent of the crew, but they kind of got away from the what I like to call the guys that hasn't been polished up and hasn't come up in the business yet. They're still working their way to the top, and they had gotten a good set of talent that was good for TV, and you could run good angles with, good storylines, have good wrestling matches, and come back as a tag team with Andy, and was looking for gold at the time, and looking to make a name for ourselves and keep ourselves alive, and we come back in with high expectations for Saul.
And what happened?
Uh, Andy had his personal problems. There was a couple shows he couldn't make it to, and kind of slowly but surely we had our time, and things went different ways. Andy had a lot of things that he needed to take care of, and we talked about it and moved on. Andy went his own way, kind of dropped out of the wrestling scene for a while. I went on to grab or take on another tag team partner by the name of Adam Armour. And we never really quite come up with a name, but we traveled on the road and we wrestled at Saw, and we come up with a decent little tag team that I think could have actually been something good at the time, and went somewhere with it. But Adam wasn't ready. He wasn't ready to be a superstar on any level at that point in time. He was still learning his trade, and he got thrown into something that he wasn't ready for, and because of that, it fell apart really fast. He wasn't ready for the traveling schedule. He wasn't ready for the pressure of being on TV, of title shots and cutting promos and interviews and having to be here for autograph signings and things like that. He just wasn't ready for that caliber of wrestling, and he decided that a family life was more for him, and he ended up staying at home, and we went our separate ways on those terms.